You're watching the Monday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavin Sen. Three top stories that we're getting to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, starting with what's really happening in Balochistan. Ladies and gentlemen, a ground report which clearly goes on to indicate that Pakistan has been completely cornered. This time, a police station in Quetta has been surrounded by Baloch activists demanding that the Pakistan ISI, Pakistan Army, basically backs off. The other big story that we're going to get you tonight, China-Taiwan relations completely tense. What's really the future of Taiwan, as multiple transgressions have been reported in the last 1 month? A top political leader joining us on This Is Exclusive. And finally, the preposterous comment made by Muhammad Yunus, taken on by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, Himanta Biswa Sarma's exclusive first response coming in. But up first, let's take you through the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Pakistan completely cornered as Balochistan residents unite up in arms against its tyranny. Police station set ablaze. It's an all-out war against Pakistani oppression in Balochistan. Elderly Baloch activist Zahir Baloch unlawfully detained in Quetta. Taiwan Strait standoff escalates. Chinese warships close. Taiwan urges Beijing not to deflect from status quo. Government allocates 8 hours for discussion of the Waqf Amendment bill to be tabled in Lok Sabha tomorrow. Well, this is his first remark. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has said the remarks of Muhammad Yunus should not be taken lightly, citing similar concerns that were expressed during the Citizenship Amendment Act agitation in India. And the fact that perhaps there is some sort of a foreign hand basically involved, and who exactly is Muhammad Yunus really batting for? In fact, the preposterous statement that was made by Muhammad Yunus, likening to what perhaps just about a few years ago, Sharjeel Imam here in India had to say. There is a pattern, ladies and gentlemen, and this nexus ought to be out. Tonight, for the first time, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has reacted to what Muhammad Yunus had to say in Beijing, where he was begging before Beijing to help Bangladesh.
You see, I don't consider the statement of Muhammad Yunus in exception. This is a stand consistently taken by various hostile leaders of Bangladesh in different point of time. Not only that, even the certain people during the CAA agitation time openly threatened that they will cut the chicken neck so that the mainland India and northeast India completely get disconnected. So this is the deliberate design of inimical force of our country. This is in their mind, and someday they will try to execute it. So we should not take the statement of Muhammad Yunus in aberration. It is a part of design. It is a condemnable. It is a stupid statement. But at the same time, we should take it seriously.
There are also people in India who are part of the very same mindset. How do you see that?
I think during the Citizenship Amendment Act agitation time, you have seen openly people have shouted that we will disconnect chicken neck. So that is the design. Now the question is, we know their mind, we know the conspiracy. How do we counter that? So one of the suggestions which I want to make, and I have made that during our Advantage Assam Summit also, there is an urgent need of creating underground railway infrastructure and road network. There is also urgent need of fortifying the second neck with our military asset. At the same time, we should also try to explore whether the second neck can be expanded. Finally, we should also consider whether an alternative road can be constructed through Bhutan with the due permission of the royal government of Bhutan. If at all it is possible. I don't think that it is impossible. Further, the Kaladan multimodal projects will also give us a straight link between the Calcutta and Northeast region. So these are already part of the Government of India's agenda, I hope. But I will urge Government of India to advance implementation of these projects, considering that Muhammad Yunus has made the statement in China. When a statement is made in China, you have to take it with a different meaning. A statement made for the local audience in Bangladesh is different. But when the statement has been made in the Chinese soil, it has to have with the tacit approval of Chinese leadership. I think this time the statement of Muhammad Yunus should be taken very, very seriously. We don't want to go through the ocean of Bangladesh, let them be guardian of their ocean. But if we can create a robust road network, rail network, we can create a freight corridor through underground, through second necks, underground railway network, then we don't have to depend on Bangladesh. We can access international water through Calcutta airport. We can go to Paradip. There are many other opportunities before us. Only thing, we have to activate our actions. We have plan. We need to implement those plans immediately.
All the chief ministers of Northeast have also raised concern. Are you also going to take it up with the centre too?
I think Prime Minister is aware about everything. You have asked my comment, that is why I have given my comment. But otherwise, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi is aware about everything. We don't have to voice anything because media has come to us, we have said something. But I have full belief in Prime Minister. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi will do whatever and he will go to any extent to secure the Northeast, secure the sovereignty of India.
Well, the Assam Chief Minister sending out that warning as to why perhaps Muhammad Yunus's statement cannot be seen in isolation. Ladies and gentlemen, getting you the other big story tonight. A continued focus in Balochistan and the impact that it has had in the subcontinent. In fact, it turns out that Balochistan is completely out of Pakistan's control. Now, these videos that we are going to play out exclusively in a short while from now, the Baloch masses have now taken control of a police station in Awaran and has burnt it down, broke it and removed the barriers. Now, before it was the Baloch freedom fighters, now the local Baloch have taken the streets, rejecting Pakistan's illegal presence in Balochistan. Pakistan's army and police is using violence to silence the peaceful voices of the Baloch. But the people have also started to give a befitting reply. Over the next couple of minutes, we're going to take you through multiple images that have now been accessed from different parts of Balochistan, where we're given to understand that there have been massive protests that have taken place. Now, the latest is a police station being taken over by the Baloch residents. Let's first take you through the first set of images. What you see right now on your screens, this is in the last few hours. Hundreds of Baloch residents were raising the slogans against Pakistan. I'm going to just play out the video right now. Listen in to kind of sloganeering that's taking place. Baloch locals who are basically raising slogans against the Pakistani army. Let's take you through the second set of visuals that have been accessed by Republic TV. On your screens right now, this is the police station in Quetta, Awaran, which has been completely taken over. As you can see, these images where water tanks being attacked by the Baloch activists. They're hurling stones at them. The local police station has been completely overrun by the Balochis. In fact, we are being told that this protest, which is basically going on for several weeks now, has only intensified despite the repression. Despite the oppression on the part of the Pakistani army seems to be completely overrun by the protests that are taking place. Take a look at this set of images. Now let's take you to the other set of visuals now coming in from the same very area where you have the Baloch activists storming inside the police station. In fact, it turns out that the Pakistani army, the police, running away from the station that they were guarding. In fact, there were water tankers that were parked, barricades that were put up outside the police station. They were completely overrun by the Balochis. Their locals who have gathered there demanding that the Pakistani army actually returns, including the police. Take a look at what's really happening on the ground. Well, in fact, it does not end there. You have huts that were put up by the Pakistani police. In fact, they were set on fire by the Baloch activists, clearly sending across a very strong message that they are unwilling to relent at this point in time. This is a clear case of rebellion against the tyranny that has been going on for several decades. In fact, now the Balochis say that no matter what, they are going to let the world know that they are not going to accept Pakistan's rule anymore. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, on a daily basis, we are seeing the protests only intensifying on the ground. Take a look at what's really happening.
दूर पे सिलेंडर रहता है अरे सिलेंडर रहता है सिलेंडर रहता है दूर पे सिलेंडर था इतने सिलेंडर धर रहे सिलेंडर था इतने हो भाई वाह जाओ हमेशा भाई.
The last set of images, there is absolute outrage against Pakistan's tyranny. Baloch activists are now resorting to full-scale violence. Their police stations now being brought down. Pakistani police running away from the Baloch activists were unwilling to accept their rule. In fact, several of the Baloch activists outside Balochistan have now started raising their voice, saying that they are not going to accept any sort of negotiation, and they're fighting for what they believe is access to their own resources, which Pakistan is trying to sell off to China. Take a look. Well, in fact, Nubat Bari, a Baloch activist, is joining us on this broadcast. Nubat, a continuous coverage by Republic TV showing what's really happening in Quetta. It seems that it has only intensified, and Balochis are unwilling to accept Pakistani rule any longer. Take us through what really has happened over the last 24 hours. A police station has been now taken over by the Balochis.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. In Balochistan, whatever you are showing is just a tip of iceberg, because Pakistan imposed complete media blackout in Balochistan and shutting down internet intermittently just to hide its crimes against Baloch in Balochistan. And the Western media, unfortunately, they relies on Pakistani media or the BBC Urdu service, which is Pakistani media is controlled by the army, and BBC Urdu is also pushing narrative of the Pakistani army. So there's nothing coming out in Western media about Balochistan, because Pakistan is committing a full-fledged genocide there and crimes against humanity in Balochistan. But in whatever you are showing in Republic TV, that is shared by Baloch activists on social media, which is hardly coming out from Balochistan. Only when there is a lift in areas where internet is available, then the Baloch activists are sharing that on social media. But the situation on the ground is very grave and intense. Pakistan is targeting the most vulnerable people of Balochistan and in occupied Balochistan. They are abducting and enforced disappearing Baloch children and women and the elderly people that Zahir Ahmad you have shown on the TV screen. He was abducted last night because he spoke against the enforced disappearance. So Pakistan is disappearing anyone who speaks about the Pakistani atrocities in Balochistan, against enforced disappearances of women and children. So this is the situation in Balochistan, where Baloch have never accepted Pakistani rule in Balochistan. So they are trying to impose their rule in this way by abducting and disappearing vulnerable people in Balochistan. Whatever they did in Bangladesh, they are repeating the same thing in Balochistan, but unfortunately nobody is talking about, especially the Western media, because that relies on Pakistani media, which is under control of Pakistani army.
Well, thank you very much, Nubat, for putting this into perspective and helping us to understand what's the situation like on the ground. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is yet another indication that the relationship between Taiwan and China appears to be completely strained. In fact, China has carried out large-scale military drill. Over the last 1 month itself, we have seen about 59 transgressions that have taken place, severely denting what Taiwan believes their sovereignty. In fact, early this morning, there were about 6 transgressions that were reported. In fact, let's just quickly take you through what really has happened. Earlier in the day, there were 6 transgression points, and this, what you see, the strait, the Taiwanese strait, which is the big bone of contention. And that is exactly what divides Taiwan and China, mainland China. In fact, that remains the biggest talking point right now in their relationship. At least 6 areas where the transgressions have actually taken place. And this has happened in the last 24 hours itself. In fact, Taiwanese say that this has become a regular feature. Apart from what we are seeing, transgressions in air, there are also cyber attacks that have actually taken place. And many now are worried that this could only become the other reason why things could actually go completely haywire. And the possibility of a full-fledged war between China and Taiwan. In fact, this is the route that has been taken by the Chinese vessels, forming a blockade around Taiwan. So who exactly is the real troublemaker here? And can we really avert a war, a conflict between China and Taiwan? In fact, many within Taiwan are now basically advocating, but perhaps a dialogue with China could only be the way forward. Earlier today, I spoke to one of the young leaders from Taiwan, a youth leader and a vocal voice on the negotiation between Taiwan and China, and whom does he really see as the real troublemaker. Listen in to what Chan Zhu, who's part of the foreign ministry in Taiwan, had to say. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we have a top political figure joining us from Taiwan to put this into perspective. He's also seen as a youth leader. Mr. Chan Zhu, thank you very much for speaking to Republic TV. I want to dive in and ask you about the current situation. With the number of transgressions that have actually taken place with Chinese warships as well as fighter jets, perhaps what you have been saying, a violation of the sovereignty of Taiwan. How exactly is your government really looking into this entire issue?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the interview. Yeah, this is a very critical moment for Taiwan. As you can see now, there are more and more this kind of aggressions, even on a daily or weekly basis. So basically, our governments are taking this very seriously. So when the military exercise from the mainland Chinese, the notification has released, our Taiwanese army now is focused on it and try to counter it. Really, every hour there will be like news coming out, and our national defense ministry just give us a press release of it, ensuring that everything is under control and surveillance under control. We are trying to counter it as much as possible. And I have to emphasize it. I have to emphasize this to you, that this is a moment of national unity. Like in fact, like we have like a very big divide between the opposition party and the ruling party now. But especially under this military exercise, under this military aggression, like Taiwan, we are all in one. We are all against the military exercise. Yes.
Mr. Zhu, if you can help us understand, in the last few months, how many transgressions have actually taken place, and how serious are they in terms of the threat it possesses?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So basically, the military aggression, like exact military, like big military exercise at least, actually, this kind of aggression is on a daily basis. And if you said on cyber security, on the cyber aggression, cyber security aggression, this is basically hour or minute, or count in minutes. So basically, like every day, Taiwanese governments and the whole society are facing this kind of aggression. So it's a very serious issue.
Mr. Zhu, how exactly is the government really responding to it? Because many would say that with change in government in the United States of America, things could really change out in the months to come. Do you believe that China perhaps would carry out what many believe is their long-standing plan of carrying out an attack, a full-fledged attack on Taiwan? Is that a reality? Do you think that is a possibility?
Yeah, of course, there's always possible. Like the Chinese government, the mainland Chinese government actually draw a very clear red lines on the conditions that they are going to launch a military attack. Yeah, but like they have their own timetable. Like we cannot decide their own timetable. But what we, as an opposition party in Taiwan, like the KMT, we always emphasize the double D strategy. You know, strengthen our national defense, and also we need dialogue. We always need dialogue between Taiwan and China, between the Taiwan Strait. So that's why the KMT, we are very concerned that because now the ruling government, the DPP, has not engaged in any kind of dialogue with the mainland Chinese government after 2016. So no matter which government in the United States, we are very worried about that the no communication across the strait will create some accident, will trigger some accident that we don't want to see.
Mr. Zhu, you are saying that there is a high possibility of an escalation in the days to come, if at all there is no dialogue with China.
We are afraid of that. That's like the KMT, we are the largest opposition now. Like during the past 9 years, we have been trying to remind our ruling government, like there is a possibility of a potential escalation if you don't have communication. No dialogue. That's we have been warning. And now, you know, since the tensions across the strait, since the tension of the international affairs is rising, so now we are more worried about this situation. We are more like trying to remind our government about this like potential escalation now. Yes, that's our like the KMT stance. Yes.
One final question that I would like to ask you, Mr. Zhu, is that the expectation that your party has from countries like India and perhaps even from the US administration, because at any cost, we will have to avert another conflict. The world perhaps is in no position to see any sort of conflict. We are already dealing with the Russia-Ukraine conflict. A China-Taiwan conflict could be disastrous for global trade.
Yeah, that's why, you know, like years ago, the Economist has said that Taiwan is the most dangerous place around the world, you know, and like so that's why I was saying that we always trying to remind our government, don't be the troublemaker. Don't be the troublemaker among the region.
Isn't China the troublemaker too? Isn't China the troublemaker too here? Because it's not about just the government here. Isn't China the real troublemaker here? Because what we understand is the constant needling coming in from the Xi administration, primarily because that's exactly what he would like to do to address his own audience.
Yeah, 100%. So that's why, you know, the first response, the first statement from the KMT, like after we saw the news of the military exercise, our statement is very clear that we against, and we warn the mainland Chinese government that this kind of military exercise is unacceptable for any Taiwanese person. So like we are 100% against this. And that is basically harming the Taiwan Strait, the peace of regional peace. And that's also harming the hearts, the feeling of Taiwanese people as well. So if you ask me who is a troublemaker, I'll say anyone who try to change the status quo of the cross straits is 100% the troublemaker. Anyone who tries to change the status quo, of course, is a troublemaker.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Zhu, for taking out the time and putting this into perspective, helping us to understand what's the situation like on the ground.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for invitation anytime. Yeah.